All right, if you have a Bible tonight, let's turn to Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians chapter 6, beginning verse 10. All right, apologize for my dress tonight. I was told to come in formal tonight, but I didn't even bring any old stuff with me. I was going to bring some, and I hope play hockey with you, but my ice hockey stuff's up in Detroit. I play for it twice a year, so I leave my equipment up there, so I don't have to run it back for from the plane. And I couldn't get it back in time to play, so I didn't bring the old clothes with me, so I got this monkey suit on, but I'd like to be informal. If I had my way, I'd preach in coveralls with bare feet. So I'd upset some of the brethren real bad. All right, now Ephesians chapter 6, we'll begin at verse 10. This message I'm going to preach is kind of a magic message or something. This has a strange power over college people. I've got 400 messages. This is the only one where when I preach, I hardly ever get invited back. And it's a simple message. I go to these schools, these militant Christian schools, and draw this picture, and that's the last I want to hear of it. And you'd think that these folks that profess to be militant would appreciate a good military message, but they don't. I preached this message at Bob Jones one time, and never got invited back, although I was a graduate from there. I preached at one time in Tennessee Temple. Lee Robertson was present there, and never got invited back again. I preached at one time at Baptist Bible College in Springfield, Missouri, and that was the end of that. I preached at one time in Arlington Baptist Bible Fellowship in Fort Worth, and that was the end of that. It's a magic message. I preached one time at Clearwater, Trinity College in Clearwater, never got invited back there either. It's just a message about the first century Roman soldiers, all about, but it has a strange effect over college people for some reason. All right, you got there Ephesians chapter 6, start about verse 10. Finally, my brethren, he winds up up. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord, the power of his might. This put on the whole armor of God, which may withstand the evil day, or against the wile of the devil, he says first time. The wile of the devil, that tricks the devil. And then he says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rule of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take you the whole armor of God, so you may withstand the evil day, and having done all, stand. Stand therefore. Then he starts with the armor. Now this picture is a picture of a first century Roman soldier, the foot soldier. They're called infantry. It's a funny expression. It's an infant. The infant's down by your feet. Pedestry, messing around with infants. Pedal is on the bottom of the piano. That's your pedal extremity, your foot. And so the pedal, pediatrics, child, has to do with children. Why you call instrument a child, I don't know. They call infantry the big boys, the West Pointers and the rest of them, and old Molotov and Clausewitz. They call infantry warfare the queen of battles. You would never convict an instrument of that. What they mean by that is the most powerful instruments you've got on the game of chess is your queen. And the most powerful instrument you have in warfare is infantry. And the reason why is you can't do nothing to land, you're on it. You can bomb and shell the fire, but you can't do nothing with it, so you're on it. And they can't get you off it. The decisive factor in any war is infantry. That's why we just lost 2 wars. We didn't fight in Korea to get land. We didn't fight in Vietnam to get land. We fight and get off, and then fight and get off, but you know, we sure. Now this is infantry. Now, there are a lot of things I know nothing about. And I know where I'm dumb and where I'm smart, and where I'm dumb is I keep my mouth shut and let somebody else. It's good to be, when you get years, you know what you can handle, what you can't handle. And there's something I'm really dumb at, and I don't say that as false modesty. I'm really stupid about a lot of things. I'm no good at math. I'm no good at physics. I'm no good at astronomy. I'm no good at banking. I never wrote out a check till I was 39. I can't fix lawnmowers. I can't fix tillers. I can't fix cars. If my car stops, I lift up the hood and I say, there, what's wrong with it right there. And if my car doesn't run, I'll sell it. I just got a gas. I don't do the complicated thing. My tools are a sledgehammer and a double-bladed axe. That's what I fix stuff with. Well, I'm just stupid about a lot of things, but I know infantry. I've got 4 generations of that stuff in me. And my people are all instrument, the ones that were soldiers. and that's two generals, granddad, great-granddad, colonel, my father, sergeant, my brother, and I was at Shavetail in World War II. We were all infantry, all foot soldiers. And one time when I was reading the Bible, right after I was saved, I thought it occurred to me, isn't that something? When Paul talks about his life and gets to the end of it, he says, I fought a good fight. That doesn't sound much like modern American Christianity, does it? Well, he gets to the end and says, I've shared the love of Christ, you know. I've been slain in the Spirit and saw the Shekinah glory and blah, blah, blah. You know, he says, I've finished my course, I've kept the faith. He said, I fought a good fight. And he said to the young Timothy, he said, no man that warreth and tanketh himself with the prayer of this life may please him to be a soldier. That military figure is found throughout the New Testament. The writer of Hebrews says that Jesus Christ is the captain of your salvation. The writer of Exodus says the Lord is a man of war. He says, endure hardness, good soldier, Jesus Christ. And if you look by the average church in America, I guess soldier is the last thing in the world you think of. If you just go around, boys, I have a look at the churches. When you think those are military camps, trained, arming of soldiers to fight for Christ, you wouldn't think that. You'd think some were nurseries, or maybe old folks' home, or a place for the sick. You might think some were a civil war. But I mean, you wouldn't think they were training soldiers for Christ. But that's the figure. A man said one time, he said, the reason why you can't get a decent choir today to sing all the Christian soldiers is you have too many conscientious objectors in the choir. And I think there's something to that. But this is a first century Roman soldier. In my dad's day, they're called doughboys. That's World War I. In my day, they're called dogface. That's World War II. You're out there calling grunts. They're called grunts in Vietnam. They're called grunts, dogface, doughboy, that kind of thing. And infantry means a foot soldier. So down by the pedal extremity, they fight on their feet. And when I saw that stuff, I got thinking by myself, wouldn't it be something if you trained Christians like you train soldiers? Now, I trained your pastor. I'm glad to have the opportunity to. And if he's got any faults, he picked them up from me. So you blame me for them. And I think he's done real well. I hope you treat him right. You better treat him right. Bible-believing, soul-winning preachers aren't afraid to witness and aren't afraid to speak the truth are rare these days. At any rate, I got thinking to myself, what would happen if you trained, infantrymen like you, or Christian like you train infantrymen? Then a thought occurred to me, well, you couldn't do that. They wouldn't take it. I mean, can you see a fellow coming down there, take my old outfit, a guy comes down and says, Captain, I'm not going out for a drill today. Oh, you're not. Nothing like that would say. No, why ain't you? You say, well, so-and-so standing next to me was talking about me in ranks, and I just won't stand it and talk about that way. Well, you know what he say to you? I couldn't say it, I'm a Christian. I mean, come down, Sergeant, I'm not going to fly out for the hike today. Oh, you're not. That's my old right. Oh, you're not. Man, when I first went in there, he got mad at me about something. He came to me, about 6 feet 2, and he ran his hand right along my body like this. And he said, why, you little squirt, I'll take you and pee you right down. I just feel a skin ripping off. Like that. You say, oh, you ain't. Why ain't you? You say, well, you've been raising your voice, and I don't like to be shouted at. But you take your hide off and saw away and pack away in the deep freeze, you wouldn't get out for 6 years. Now, I've been out of circulation for a long time, and I don't know how they train them now. But back in my day, the regular Army was trained just about like they train the elite now. Now, you probably get some pretty good outfits now, like the SEALs and Rangers and CBs, and the Marines have toughened up a little bit in the last 10 years. But they were rough shape there for a while. Stress cards. Stress cards. Are you kidding? Stress cards? I mean, the middle of the battle, don't shoot, stress. You can't train soldiers like that. You know how you train soldiers? I've trained soldiers for 4 years. Army replacement camps, trained the groups over in the Philippines, the Filipino scouts. You don't train soldiers like that. You know how you train soldiers? You persecute them. You ridicule them. You make them miserable. Just make them miserable as you can. Make it as tough as you can. Nasty as you possibly can get. You say, why? Because we can get in action. That's how it's going to be. You're not going to talk with them Turks, one of those Cambodians or Thailand or one of those Oriental. You're not going to talk him to being merciful to you. He'll fix your hash. And the thing is, make just be as miserable and uncomfortable as you possibly can be. Now, when you get adjusted to it. My. How could you train Christians like that? You couldn't do it. You go by and say, so you want that button? Yeah. You tear it off, sew it on. He didn't have the button, so you take it off his shirt, make him sew it on. Go by the side of his canteen, top loose, you want that water, buddy? Yeah, dump down his pant leg. You say, why? They teach him how to keep the top on the canteen. Why? Because maybe someday it'll keep you alive. 3 tablespoons of water on the bottom of that thing. That's why. But you can't drink Christian like that. Well, this congregation was shriveled to 1/10 its size in one day and half be gone 2 days later. But that's what it's supposed to be. Armed Christian soldiers marching as to war with the cross of Jesus going on before. Am I a soldier of the cross, a follower of the Lamb? Should I fear only his cause, or blush to speak his name? Must I be carried to the sky from flowery beds of ease, while others fought to win the prize, and saved with bloody seas? Have I no foes for me to face? Must I not spend the flood of this vile world of friend of grace help me on to God? No. No, it's not. I can think about these things. I can't imagine training Christians like soldiers. But that's what you're supposed to be. I've been saved 51 years. And I'm pretty at home here tonight. I'm much more comfortable here right now than I'll be tomorrow morning. There'll be women here tomorrow morning. I get nervous preaching to women. I like to be just me. I don't have a ministry Brother Colson's got, but I've been about 80 prisons, and every summer I preach about 14 of them. Maximum, Millen County, everything else. And when I get in the slammer with the jailbirds, I'm at home, I'm comfortable. I've got a good contact with Brother Peacock in Florida. He's chief of police of Jacksonville for about 20 years. And he gets me in all the big ones, little ones. We have a time. We have a time. When I come to them, those prisoners and preach to them, I'm comfortable. I think it's because I have kind of a criminal mind myself. I really do. I would make a good hack. I mean, I think like they think. When I was a boy, my role model was Lucky Luciano, and Paul Gambino, and Al Capone, and Albert Anastasia, and Ice Pick Willie, the hitman, and Pretty Boy Floyd, and Dillinger, and Clyde and Bonnie, Machine Gun Kelly, and Alvin Carpus, and Wolver Van Buren, and much. I like them. I like the bank robbers, especially. I always liked the bank robbers. I've always thought banks were crooked. I still do. But you got to change your role model, you know what I mean? But when I get there, I'm comfortable because I've just, most of my life, been around men. And Christians, it's hard for me to get used to them. It's hard for them to get used to me. You got preachers in this country that think I'm not even saved. How many ever heard that in some events? There's 20, 30 hands right there. They say it's his language. Well, I don't talk any different up here than I talk down there. I don't know why it is. Some people think when they come to church, there's something changed in nature or something. I don't know what it is. I'm the same guy flew up here in an airplane. I'm the same guy that went to the bathroom 30 minutes ago. When I got saved, I raised the Episcopal Church. When I got saved, I said to myself, I'm not going to be like that much. I mean, you may not like what I'm going to say, but when I get through saying, you don't know what I said. Gentlemen, I don't talk any different here than in the bathroom or the bedroom or out on a dove hunt or a quail shoot or out there fishing or digging dishes or growing potatoes and tomatoes and peppers. Same man. And people get hard to get used to it. They don't act like a preacher or something. I don't know. I was a man 27 years before I was a preacher. I didn't lose my male genes when I got saved. Amen. But you take Christians, it's a bit hard for me to get used to them. Just as hard for me as on them. There's something about you Christians I don't understand. Well, I've been preaching that for 51 years, over 400 churches. I can't understand why Christians are so thin skinned. I don't get it. Why do you get upset so easily? You worry about people talking about you. Pastor says something, you just suddenly come to church, you just wait for him to offend you. Thin skin. What's wrong anyway? The guys I was with the youngster with, they were a bunch of godless, hell-raising, cussing, stealing, fighting reprobates. I know that. Most of them were. But I'll tell you one thing. They could take it. Now, what has always beat the tar out of me in Christian work is here you people have the best commander in the world, and the best set of orders, and your quartermaster in orders is perfect. You don't miss any supplies. You got an old folks retirement home, an old soldier retirement home you can't beat. And you got the greatest book in the world for instruction. And you have a commander who loves you enough to die for you. And what the you want anyway? I don't ever remember even a CEO who loved me enough to die for me. And yet always bragging, always complaining. I mean, you think of Brother Michael actually make a call. He's infringing your civil rights. Day's too hot to walk. It's too cold to come to church. I don't get it. I don't get it. My old company commander, Max Schoening, he was 201st in Alaska, paratrooper, ski trooper, paratroopers. But out there in the snow in Alaska, 20, 30 below, he fell down a mountain one time, 600 feet. He went 100 feet, rolled 20 and dropped off 30, rolled 50 and dropped 60, and rolled 10 and dropped 40. And that bird's in the hospital for 6 months. Broken ribs, fractured collarbone, teeth knocked out, busted jaw, 6 months. And then he was back on those skis and going around that mountain in 6 months, 20 below zero. Not a peep from him. He wasn't a saved man. I don't get it. I don't get it with Christians. I've been saved a long time. I still don't get it with Christians. I just don't get it. I've got some funny role models for a preacher. Now, you know I would. Whatever I do, I'd be eccentric or something. But anyway, one of my favorite role models was a German Luftwaffe pilot named Pips Torter. They call him Pips because he was small. He's smaller than I am, 5 feet 6. That's what they call a Pip Squeak. And Pips Torter, he shot down more planes than Rick Dawson. Not as many as the other ace in World War II, name right now, come in a while. But anyway, Pips Torter was sent down the Straits to the beach D-Day at Normandy. And Pips Torter was the Luftwaffe, Hitler's Luftwaffe, unsaved man. I think he ran a beer factory in Hamburg after the war. He was an unsaved man, unsaved Nazi. And the time came to scrape the beach, he was there up near France somewhere where that thing was coming in. He got on the field called headquarters, the field phone, and said, Pips, they've landed. He said, get your squadron up in the air. He said, squadron? I haven't got any squadron. You just sent the squadron to Russia. And he said, well, who's there with you? He said, just me and my wingman, my batman, me and my wingman. And he said, well, order straight to the beach. And Pips said, would you mind me telling me where the blankety blank they are? And he told him where they were, and he said, okay, hung up. He hung up and he turned to his Batman, what they call his Batman, a wingman. He turned him and he said, okay, stay with me, don't stay right behind me for God's sake, and don't get away from me, we're going in, I don't think we're coming out. And that bird took off against 13,000 aircraft. One fellow. Came that cloud bank, saw that armada out there in that Normandy Channel out there, and he said, man, what a sight. Down, he had orders, straight to the beach. He goes in between wire netting, hanging balloons, 13,000 aircraft. I mean, 2,000 pursuit planes, 3,000 heavy bombers, 2,000 light bombers, gliders, 13,000 aircraft. And down he goes down that beach. A fellow who wrote The Longest Day, he was quoting from one GI there at the beach. He said he'd know that fellow again if he saw him anywhere. He said he flew so low over that beach and looked out of the cockpit, he could see his face going by. Down it, befailing order is an order. Down that beach by himself, out through the balloon cover there. He died, got killed in a car wreck in Ingolstadt in 1961. That fellow took on 13,000 enemy. What are you taking on? How many enemies you got? You got 13,000? Out to cut your throat out and get your guts, get your family. Well, what do you get the shakes about? Pips wasn't even saved. I've had people tell me, say, Ruckman, don't you know everybody's against you? Who cares? So if the college is against you, the preacher's against you, the Southern Baptist Convention against you, the Catholics against you, the government against you, tough apples forward. If an unsaved Nazi can do it, why can't a Christian? Amen. I don't get it. It goes over my head. Now look at this stuff. He says about this fellow, he says, take on the whole armor of God. What is it? Well, it's 7 parts. If you read that list there, you'll find there's actually only 6 parts of equipment named. But the 7th part is not named, but it's there. You say, what is it? Well, you got the helmet of salvation. You got the sword of the Spirit. You got the breastplate of righteousness. You have the loin girded about with truth. You have the shield of faith, wherewith you are able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one. You have feet shod preparation of the gospel of peace. Now that is 6 pieces of equipment. There's a 7th piece of equipment that isn't there. It's what we call the greaves, the leg greaves. And that is like a shin guard here for the legs. And the reason why that isn't given is because in the passage you have there, if you look at it, it says, we wrestle not. See that thing? We wrestle not against flesh and blood. What is that wrestling? That's prayer. That's old Jacob. Wrestling with the angel. So this combat here is carried out on your knees, like you've just been here in prayer meeting here tonight. And you're trying to get through, and your adversary is principalities and powers upstairs. You're trying to get through to them. So he says, wrestle. It indicates fighting in prayer, and in prayer you're on your knees. So your knees are covered. But he gives 6 pieces of equipment, and he says, helmet of salvation. Now you got to have that helmet. If you're not saved, there's any chance in the world you whip the devil. You'll never have a chance. The devil whipped everybody that ever got in the ring with him except one man. Yes. Jesus Christ. Yes. But that's doesn't he whip him. He'll whip you. He'll whip you. You can get some wounds fixed up, but you can't go back to the aid station with your head in your hand saying, I got a little wound here, fix me up. You have to have a helmet. The helmet of salvation. All right, then notice the equipment that's given there. There's no equipment for the back. The soldier has no equipment to cover his back with. Why? He's supposed to face the enemy and he's supposed to turn. Now, you'll be scared in combat sometimes. A man who isn't scared in combat is not a brave man. A brave man is a man who is not a man who's not afraid. A brave man is a man who is scared, gets the pants scared off him, and goes in anyway. That's where the guts come from. If you're not scared, you're either drunk or nuts. I'm in an artillery barrage. If you're not scared, there's something wrong. Let me get you out of the army. You ain't safe in the army, out of the army. You hear that? Germans had on a shell they call the screaming meanie. That thing wouldn't give you stress, I don't know what would. They go over at night, you try to sleep, it come in. You get one of those every 5 or 6 minutes, you know, it's a little stress there. They got a joke back there in World War II about an old color boy they found about a mile behind the front line back in the regimental bivouac area. He was scared to death, and they said, what you doing back here? Get back up to your position. And he said, I don't like them talking bombs. I don't like them talking bombs. They said, ain't no talking bombs. Yeah, I just talking bomb. That bomb talked to me. I said, well, wait a minute, talk to you. What did it say? If that bomb said, boy, you ain't ever going back to Alabama. And you know there are congressional, a lot of black congressional medal winners in those services. I've got a list of them about that big, but they won't tell you whether they're saved or not. Almost every black fella got a medal of honor was a saved man, just sure of the world. And the blacks, they go pretty well if you get them in a troop fair where they're outnumbered about 10 to 1 of the whites. But you get them in their own unit, you got the biggest mess you ever saw. That black boy's pretty good in the ring, you know, or fooling around the knife in the back alley or something. But you get him out. His idea of fun is not crawl down at night in the dark with them star shells going. And some old blonde-haired, blue-eyed crowd out there. They know what to stay out of. Like the Indianapolis 500. You see them going out a ski shoot lately? Anyway, the Christian's not supposed to be afraid. He's supposed to face them and not turn. Now look at here, the further out you get in front of your troops, the more you're going to get shot in the back by your own troops. You better remember that one. Number 1 scout, they call him point man now. He's called number 1 scout, number 1 scout, number 2 scout. But the point man out there allowed to get shot and fired by their own people. And an ex-ambush, of course, you're going to get from all sides. Ex-ambush is a bloody thing. That's a bloody thing. That's a Vietnam job. Those boots and stuff, a thing like that. Now, no matter where you go through that, you can't get out without flanking fire. So you go through here, and then they come at you. If you go there, you hit rear here. If you go there, you hit rear there. If you go through, you're getting both sides here, both sides there. That's the next ambush. And the first fellow out in front of that stuff starts, they're going to be firing from the rear. There's no equipment here for the rear. Oh, and here's the soldier here, and he's told to have your on the breastplate of righteousness. Now that's not imputed righteousness. That's not God's righteousness. That's personal righteousness. Your imputed righteousness is Christ's righteousness. But this is talking about living right. Loin girt about with truth and the breastplate of righteousness. Loin girt about with truth means tell the truth. Tell them the truth. And then he has this shield, and then he has this sword. Now that equipment is offensive and defense. All combat is offense and defense. Any one of the martial arts have offense and defense movements with Aikido, Kung Fu, Gung Fu, Taekwondo, any of them. The average stance for any kind of combat's this. Now you have a horse stance and so on, and you have this stork thing. But this thing, but the trouble with these things, this thing here, this is good for getting out of the way a blow here, but it's no good backward and forward. I mean, I can blow you hard, over you go, you're off balance. Now this one here, see, is good if you move in and back to the blow like this. But it's no good sideways, so the compromise is there. And the idea is a little way to give here, a little way to give here, a little way to give here, a little way to give here. And boxes, that's how the thing is. Now you watch them box, and that offense come at you like that, and then while the fellow's doing that, he's supposed to have the right cover himself. I mean, he's supposed to have this up here. And what you do in those boxing things, you watch them, you're looking for this cut over the right eye. What you looking for? You know why you do that? Because the more you fight there, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds, you get tired. And down comes this guard. And this bend, and it comes. You have to have this here, even an uppercut, and even in a right cross. You better be covered somewhere when you go in. It's offense and defense. It's always like that. Now, some Christians are good at defense. They can stand a beating from the devil and take it, because they have a lot of faith. But they never get in a lick with the sword. Not the offensive way. Some Christians are aggressive, and they can strike a blow for Christ, and the first trouble comes along, they faint because they don't have any faith. That's to be a combination. That's to be moving a real. A fellow's going to give you a hard time with a knife. If you really know what he's doing, he's not going to come right at you like this. You know, it'll be back in here, like this, and it gets you engaged here, and then cut it here. And these Indians you have out here, some of them would fight with the thing behind them and engage you out here. Indian ordinarily use an ice pick grip for a knife. And the saber grip, the hammer grip, the ice pick grip is like that. And that cut is usually it's up in front of you like this, and then down again like that. And the idea is if you come up like this, you step back, then the next one comes down across here, and if you get him in there, 12 seconds, not straight in the air. But that thing's like that. In the street, urban living. All right, you can stand on the street corner like this, see, and nobody knows what you got. See, it's hidden. Teach your wife how to take care of herself. Just teach her to stand on the street corner like that. If somebody comes up, she pulls it up here, then a woman can't beat up a man. I know they do on TV, but you know, and pull up like, oh yeah, man. And then you just teach her to pull up like this, and put her, if she's too weak to drive it in, pull up like this and like that. And whatever you decide to do, he'll change your mind about it. You watch most of those fellows that fool and swallow right and butterfly knives and stuff and that kind of thing. They usually have a wristband around here. And that's because if you cut the guy's wrist, he'll drop his knife. So they don't have to put studs on it like that. Take a knife like that, a good fighting knife, just as a round handle. You don't have serration that you hold this way. Because you need to be able to turn it all kinds of ways. Come the guy and grabs you a little hand like this, touch your wrist right here, He hasn't got you. He's got the wrist. Because you turn that blade like that, and you're under his wrist. Over like that, with me. But that stuff like that, all that kind of stuff like there, there's an action out here, and there's an action out in here. And that stuff is offense and defense. In bayonet practice, we used to teach them bayonet practice, and with the bayonet drill, we teach them offense and defense. A fellow gave me a rifle here to demonstrate with it. It'd be pretty hard to demonstrate with this because of the screws on it. And this is, doesn't make it, isn't a very good military type. And let's show you what I mean. And I trained in the band, they trained me. They trained me bronc horse, major bronc horse down at Fort Benning to get us out there in about 110 in the shade. You get out that long thrust like that, and then you make your leg go like that. Put your hand behind you. You hold that thing up. That don't look like much. But I'll tell you, 114 degrees after about 2 hours of this stuff. Nothing like that. Come up! You just walk back. I've been out there hour after hour, man, like that, and bodies around me. Flop, flop, flop. I look out there and that field just turned just black. And the ground began to go, and I say, hold still, hold still, hold still. And you see those stars going, bing, 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 like this, and black, something goes down behind you. So when I finally got my bars, I trained just like they trained me, I got up there and those dudes down in Manila, the battalion out there in bayonet practice, and I get them out like that. One time, guys, I like that, and I say, get it up, buddy. Get it up, buddy. He said, Lieutenant, I'm very, very sick. I said, up. You got your slip pneumatics? No, sir. Up. You get it back up, and somebody going again. Oh, so take off. I used to make a full rifle like this, run down the road about a quarter mile with it, about 110, 115 degrees. I remember a little boy down there like that. He was sick, too. He just didn't have a slip. And he ran about a quarter mile down that thing, and then bang, fell down that dirt. That rifle bounced out 10 feet ahead of him. And one back in the formation was going. And I said, see that? Good man. Wentley fell on his face. Good man worth more money. Huh? Turn back up. You said, oh, Ruckman, you mean old so-and-so. Don't give me that. I gave you scripture. You just didn't give it. Gethsemane. He went a little further and fell on his face. Amen? Amen. You've been along there. Why haven't you been along there? You get trained like that. You train like soldiers. Now that bayonet drill, every movement is a forward movement. You're here guard. You come down like this. And that first thrust is a short thrust, leading foot this way. I'm just about a foot, like that. When you go, the best thing is to go for the throat. And the reason for that is because they won't stick. You get between his ribs, you fall across, break your bayonet, or jam you, pull your rifle out. The Marines do it better than the regular Army. The Marines make them go in sideways. The blade goes in horizontal. That way you can get it out quicker before it falls on it. And you teach those fellows to go after you, you make them yell. And they don't yell to get their morale up. That's why you teach them how to yell. You teach them how to yell so they don't get demoralized by the guy that hit. So I mean, you stab the guy and he goes, ah! Like that. You've got to have some kind of, you won't be under so much stress. And so you take that thing sideways like that and going like that. That's a better way to do it, but the regular Army still goes in this way. Well, you go this way, a short thrust, then the long one comes back here, the long thrust. That. Now you miss it there, then you go vertical upstroke here like this in the right place. The family jewel of the expression. And if you miss him, then you come down that way, across his throat that way. If you miss him, then up the face again. Now every movement is forward. Every little movement is forward, forward, forward. As a matter of fact, if a guy comes in behind you, you don't go backward into it. If he's behind you, you take one step forward, come up. That's so when you turn around, you won't get one in the gut. And you turn around like this, and that blocks him off here if he comes in, and then you're in him again. Now you see, what are those? Those are forward movements. Now the one of them is back. You say, what's that? That's Scripture. Did you ever read, forgetting those things are behind?
Yes.
I press forward,
Amen.
forward for the prize, the mark of the high calling God of Christ.
Amen.
You know what's wrong with some of you birds here tonight? You're looking back, licking your wounds. Amen. Feeling sorry for yourself. Well, I went through this, but still talk about things. You have to make talk about the day you die. You know what you're supposed to do? Forward.
Amen.
Forward. You don't go back. Forgetting those things that are behind, I press forward. I don't care about it. They just turn your back on it. Well, I care. You'll have to. In your heart was a good soldier of Jesus Christ. I remember when I first got in the Army, and the Army I got into was the cadet member from World War I. And such a different Army these days, I couldn't describe the difference. But I mean, just there wasn't any idea to complain to. If some non-com hits you, you're for not ducking. I mean, my old top sergeant, Sergeant Zirkle, I've seen him challenge in. I've seen him tell him, oh, you just take advantage of your stripes, take off them stripes, and I'll show you who's a man. And I've seen old Zirkle just take off his shirt, go around behind the barracks and beat him in the rag dolls and bring him back and put his shirt back on. But you can't do that anymore. And let me tell you something, back in World War II, if you were a queer, you had a problem. That boys found out what you were. Every Saturday night they'd come in, they'd take you around behind the building, you know, and stick your head down the commode. And if you were a queer, you had to learn how to talk straight or get a company commander or a colonel to kind of take you under his wing, or you had problems every week. Different kind of an army. Different kind of an army. Hey, Train, you missed a blessing if you haven't run with the gas mask on on a hot summer day in Fort Benning, Georgia, with a live ammo going out of the road, man. I mean, 58-pound field pack boy going out there. In a gas mask, the diaphragm, you can't go. You got to go. And boy, I'll tell you, if that sweat comes down, you can't pull the mask down. The sweat comes up, you're about to drown your own sweat. You go in there, all they're going. I've seen them go over. Listen, if a guy fell over I'm talking right now, if a guy beside this building fell over and hit the ground, his rifle dropped, hit the ground, I'd know it was sleeping. Now, I don't know about your M16, M14, that TL or T they got now, I don't know, but an M1 or a Springfield with that sling on it, I'd know that sound anywhere. Slap! Here I am, sweet 18, about 140 pounds down the drill field of Fort Leavenworth, 115 in the shade, they're dropping like flies. And at the end of the day, you have to have this parade every day. Regimental parade, at the end of the day, all 4 battalions. Taking out the flag over the tree. You stand like this, present arms. And the band going down the field and back the field going. You stand like this, and I got a fly on my nose. And I was going. That Sergeant Marcus was at ease. I pulled back in that band and stood. About that time the fly got on my nose again. I was going. At ease. And about that time the guy in front of me began to go like this. And I was starting to say, at ease. He don't pay good attention. Well, there he goes. I step aside a little bit. Crash. And I hit the ground. I remember looking at him like that. He's going, chewing on his tongue, his whites of his eyes over out. They come, you know, back to the little port arms, then a right shoulder arm, forward, hark, off you go. And oh, you can hear them drop all the band playing. And the meat wagon going around picking them up. You couldn't drink this like that. You can't take it. You can't take it. You can't take it. And you're saved. I don't know why you can't take it. You saved men have all the advantage. Listen, all things being equal, and The guy, same weights you are, same height, same training, all things being equal. In football, baseball, basketball, hockey, in all things being equal, you're to be able to outdo an unsaved man every time. All things being equal. I might have more money than you or more training, but if you have the money you have, the training you have, you're the age he is, you're the weight he is, the training he has, you're to be able to outdo him every time. You said, you got the advantage. Yeah. Did you ever see, it'd be football time pretty soon. Well, they play all year round anyway, but up in the fall they get players too. You watch those pro teams when they get near, the Super Bowl, losing with big old bruises back there, about 6'4", about 320 pounds, sitting down there going, about to cry. But no, baby, will you bow? For them the world's coming to an end. But if you're saved, you don't act like that. Amen. You ever watch unsaved golfers? They play like golf down in Florida. I've seen guys take a brand new $80 club, just wrap it around the ball and tree. I'm just wrap it clear around, just whack the head will go around with it. Just coming to pieces. The world's coming to an end, man, because they missed a putt. The saved man has all the advantages. I watched O'Hollafield when he came out the box the year by there a couple of months back, and I watched him in the dressing room. He came up there, and when he was coming down that aisle, he was going. He was no more where that crowd was. They went in there. He was praying the whole time going down. I saw him get in the middle of the ring. They introduced him. He said, "That man," they go, "Pray." All things being equal. Maybe something darn equal. That guy, we got a buddy, Boy Jones. He's in Pensacola, a boxer. He just saved you are. We got another fellow named M. White, plays for Dallas. M. White, Huff football player. Is that him? That's what is it? That's it. Yes, yeah. That's saved fellow, Pensacola. I know those fellows coming through high school over there 10, 15 years ago. Those fellows, all things equal, any saved man can outdo a saved man in anything. If I've got the same training that an unsaved artist has, I'll be able to outdraw him, outpaint him every time. I mean, you got some special stuff I haven't, okay, but all things being equal, you've got the advantage. And what do you do with it? What do you do with it? My gosh. I know when I've been in the Army, I've been in the Army about 1 month, and I was going a 5-mile hike, I had 80 room toenail. It was a bad one. I mean, turned black, blue, red, bleeding. I got down to the dispensary. The doctor's a PFC, about 30 years old. Probably been busting rank about 3 times. And he's standing there, "What's your trouble?" And I showed it to him, pulled up there, and he says, "Oh, what that bird did?" He took off my sock, and then he got a pair of scissors, and he took the thin blade in that pair of scissors and stuck it down under that nail and clipped. And then took a pair of pincers and pulled half a nail out. And said, "Next." Next! I'm standing there going. I was white in that shirt, man. Next. I'm making a salad one day. 200 men going to feed a mess. 200 men. I'm cutting tomatoes for a salad. 200 men mess of tomato cutting. And I'm sitting there. I'm trying to find a fast way to do it. I got a knife as sharp as a razor. And I finally got it where I could just come down like that and cut them off about 1/8 of an inch. And I got slashing me like that. I got looking out the window or something and got my mind on what I was doing. I came down there and went through that forefinger right to the bone. Right to the bone, man. The blood just went all over that salad. That old mess sergeant, "You blind fool, ain't gonna think, I ducked." Like I say, if you got a hip, it's your fault for not ducking. And I started heading out the door, bleeding, that bleeding stuff, dripping blood all over the mess hall floor. And I remember going out the door, I looked back at that sergeant. He looking at the salad like this. He reached over there and got him some ketchup, put it in there. They ate it. I was eating out of Air Corps mess hall over there in Germany about 5 years ago when I was over there, and I never so shocked in all my life. They had a rug on the floor. And it was a smorgasbord, you help yourself. Now a waiter come around the table and fill up your God, a mess hall? You call it a mess hall? It's wooden benches and a canteen cup, and you go by there and the guy slops the stuff in your tray, your can, little tin plate, and you say, haven't got any choice? He says, yeah, you take it or leave it. We're coming back to Japan after World War II and got in high seas in the Pacific, and you wouldn't think the Pacific gets bad, but boy, it gets bad in the winter up there north. You'd make a circuit across there from Washington, Oregon, coming in. And that, I mean, they were feeding the fish there for days, man. I just dreamed all the squid. And you come down to eat breakfast, and the chef was a big old black boy, about 6 feet 3, and the breakfast was mush. You come down and put your mess kit along that rail, and he'd take that thing, and he'd first before he put it in your plate, he'd go, oop, and he'd go, oop, slap. Now, you can't train Christians like that. They can't take it. They can't take it. Am I a soldier of the cross, a follower of the Lamb? All right? Paul says, endure hardness a good soldier, Jesus Christ. What are the soldier's adversaries? Well, here's the first one. And he's a harmless looking little fellow. He doesn't have any breastplate, doesn't have any sword, doesn't have any shield, doesn't have any spear. You wouldn't think he'd hurt anybody. That's when here's the world. It's the world. The Christian has 3 enemies: the world, the flesh, and the devil. When they come to the world, he said, love not the world, neither the things in the world, for all in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, the pride of life, is not of the Father, but the world. And the world, the lust thereof, passeth away, but he that doeth the will of God abideth forever. This fellow comes at you a harmless looking little thing like that, no hurt you at it. He'd come at you with a dollar bill. The Bible says the love of money is root of all evil. And he got him a frog sticker back behind his back. He got the shank back there. Love not the world, neither things in the world. You know what Paul tells the Christian in the book of Colossians? He says, you better allow this to ever spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit. And that he says, after the rudiments of this world, and not after Christ. Now, what are rudiments? Rudiments are basics. Rudiments are fundamentals. In drum exercise, they call rudiments. Paradiddle, flammadiddle, double paradiddle. But certain things you're supposed to learn that are basic. Those are rudiments, rudimentary. And the world has certain rudiments. There's about 7 of them. And it's a strange thing. They're so powerful, and the devil wants to mess a fellow up. He'll always use the same set. And he has no respect for age or sex or anything else. The devil has 7 things he uses on people to get them into sin. And that means whether you're black or white, or you're a general, or you're a private, or you're a Boy Scout, or a Girl Scout, or if you're 15, or if you're 25, or if you're a millionaire, or if you're a pauper, he'll use the same 7. You say, what are they? Well, the first one is everybody else does it. 2, we always have done it. 3, all depends how you look at it. 4, you got to get married. 5, you got to make a living. 6, my conscience doesn't bother me. 7, well, what's wrong with it? Those are the rules. And if you had an IQ of 200, an IQ of 90, the devil wouldn't have you any different than anybody else. Those are rudimentary. And those aren't Christian rudiments. So what are the Christian rudiments? Well, is it right? If it's not, is it wrong? Is it right? Would I like to have the Lord find me doing if he would come back? Does it edify? Does it help somebody else? Those are a set of rudiments. Now he says, you should look out for the world. One time, a beautiful young lady who quit Hollywood for stardom and become a Christian, lived a real Christian life. Not like Jane Russell and all that Hollywood bunch, not like that, but the real thing. And she got to the Youth for Christ meeting and gave a very thrilling testimony. And when she got through, some girl there about 17 years old said, you know, I just give the world to have a testimony like you got. And she said, you know something? She said, that's just exactly what it cost me. The world. The world will embrace you like it embraced idolaters and then crush you to death. He says the world. He says the flesh. Now, nowhere in the Bible will tell you to resist the flesh. Paul says, reckon yourself to be dead in the sin. When it comes to flesh, you know what he says? He doesn't say resist the flesh. He says resist the devil. But he doesn't say resist the flesh. You know what he says about the flesh? He says flee youthful lust. Run. Be a coward. That's it. That's the way Joseph was. Joseph, he might have lost his reputation, but he didn't lose his character. See? Potiphar's wife tried to shack up with him and offer anything he wanted, and he said, how can I do this thing and break sin against God? And so he ran. He ran. And you might have thought he was a coward. That's a good time to pay you to be a coward. You say, well, the Bible takes for granted that youthful lust, if you put them long enough, you won't be able to stand. They'll overcome you. That's one of the blessings about getting older. Now, I'm not over the hill yet, but it's much better than it was when I was 20 or 30. I wouldn't want to go back and be 20 or 30. I wouldn't want to be that. We get playing hockey sometimes up there in Pensacola. Our weather's not hockey weather. I mean, 85 and 90 and 95 degrees. Just ain't hockey weather. But you can sure burn up the calories, boy. I mean, you can burn them up. And I got this, sometimes those guys, you know, about after they've playing about an hour, they're lying over the floor, you know, are they able to move and breathe? I'll tell them, oh, to be 50 again, boys, oh, to be 50 again. but I wouldn't want to go back to be 20 or 30. It's too dangerous. Too dangerous. I lived 12 years as a single man before I remarried. I raised 5 kids by myself, pastoring a church. I hope the Lord never puts it on any of you. I mean, I was 39 years old, and I tell you, well, boy, I don't have to worry about women. Who's going to want to marry a 40-year-old preacher with 5 kids? I didn't know, you know, too much about women, you know, the Christian women. And I'm telling you, talk about fleeing youthful lust, boy. I put Joseph out of business. I mean, them women do anything but parachuting down the chimney, man. I mean, there were girls in that choir, 50 years old, talking about what it'd be like to be married to Brother Ruckman. Man, I go up in the backyard, boy. I mean, behind a tree at night. I've been in the bathroom and shut the door and turned the shower on so they think I was taking a shower, and I wasn't, just to avoid a situation. I sure wish I had another fellow, that kind of stuff. But he said, flee youthful lust, flee youthful lust, run from them. You see, when a fellow gets saved, and especially the later he gets saved in life, there's certain things he should stay away from. And one is any kind of situation that he was in before he was saved. How many fellows used to be hard drinkers before you were saved? Let me see your hands. A bunch of them. Well, I was too. I was never dumb enough to fool with the dope, but I sure fool with the liquor. I thank God I never fooled with the dope. Every year now at our school, we've been open now about 36 years, but every year at school you get more and more guys come there that have been on dope, and thank God they got off. By the first couple of years, we never had more than about 1 out of 12. And then we began to get about 1 out of 8. And then now you get down to 1 out of 5. And most of them recover, but they get flashbacks of them. That stuff will ruin you. I've seen those guys. I've seen kids out there, 21, 22, playing baseball, and they run out healthy guys. Remember you, healthy, good specimens. They run out to catch that ball, their hands go like this, trying to catch the ball, and the ball go right between the hands. I mean, 21, 22 years old. Something's wrong, boy, upstairs. Elevator not getting the top floor. I used to play drum to the dance band. They're passing those cigarettes around, and that was what they did. I mean, it was a Mexican sleigh ride back in those days, but nobody knew what the stuff was. The Pop and Mary Jane, you know. And they passed that stuff around the band. They just had a kind of a brown cigarette thing with no camera lucky stripe, just a brown package. They passed something around the band I played in 1938. I'm way ahead of your generation. That's before World War II. And I saw them, but I saw what they did. And I said, man, there's something crazy about that stuff. Bad enough to get drunk, you know, that stuff there. I should have been. And we played Blueberry Hill. Understanding? You play that thing, I'm the drummer. And you're playing, the band kicks it off, and you're playing da-dum, da-dum, da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. You're playing wire brothers. You kick that thing off about this fast. 7 o'clock. About 9 o'clock you kick it off. You're playing da 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 da. 11 o'clock. Ah, da, 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 da. So come on. This guy that got fooled with marijuana when I was coming, his name was Gene Krupa. He's dead now, he's a drummer. And his theme song was at this tempo. That's his theme song called Wirebreast Storm. Try that with your right foot and go home. That's a right foot and a bass foot on a pedal and a bass drum playing that thing. I've been a dancer. Gene Group was playing and splintered his fly over the grandstand. That fellow would eat rim shots, you know. He'd tear a pair of drumsticks in half in 2 hours, cutting them on the rim. And he'd change his shirt 3 times during the dance. Just sweat it clean through. Bad. But you take you guys used to fool with liquor. I'll give you some good advice. When you go to an airport, don't go by the bar to get you a Sprite or a Coca-Cola. And when you go downtown and there's a certain liquor place, try to find you some other place. And when you go to buy the groceries, don't tarry too long by the aisle where the stuff is, and you know where it is. There's a passage that says that some say fellows are like a brand plucked from the burning. And that's true. I'm one of them. You know what that is? That's charcoal. You know what that is? That's a brand plucked from the burning. See? And when I got saved, the fires of hell were already caught on my coattails and began to burn, boy. Lord pulled me out, felt the smell of smoke coming off me, like some of you. Now, if you had trouble with pornography before you were saved, you know where to stop in the rack. You know where they're on the magazine rack downtown, the bookstore. You know where they are. The airport, you know the magazines in up there. You know what they got up the place in. Don't fool with them. You say, why? Liable to catch fire again. Get it too near the fire, you know, and the ember catches.